Into a log. No, I'm channeling somebody else. Came to UCSB with fire in the belly. I was in Chicago from the spring of 1968 and the summer of '71. That was a great time to be in Chicago. It was life-changing. In a sit-in, and a popular professor was fired at the University of Chicago. We occupied the administration building. I was very active in the anti-war movement. I became active in the Chicago conspiracy trial as kind of a gopher, co-founder of the South Side Labor Committee, which probably had 4 people in it. Charlie Appelbaum I think came over at age 13 or 14 or something. And the family lore is that his name was Dvorsky, back in the old country, whatever shtetl he lived in. But he took the name Appelbaum because he wanted an American Jewish name. That's significant because the most American Jewish name in Rochester, New York, where he emigrated to, was Appelbaum. So my mother's maiden name is also Appelbaum. That creates awkward moments when I'm asked for identification purposes, what is your mother's maiden name? My father was a pianist. He'd gone to the Juilliard. My mother was a dancer. She'd gone to the Denison School, which is part of the Martha Graham School of Dance in New York City. So I grew up in a musical family to the point where my mother would choreograph our high school productions and my father would play piano. My mother would teach ballroom dancing to my friends, which was worth years of therapy on my part. To really be in what in our high school they called the man crowd, you had to be athletic. I went for soccer instead of football. I lasted about 1 week. I went out for swimming. That didn't last long. I was a pretty good wrestler in high school, and then when I went on to Columbia, I wrestled as a freshman. We go to West Point. This, of course, puts fear into us. This guy comes out with the ear protection on, and he's all muscle. And of course, my teammates on the freshman wrestling squad, Appelbaum, he's gonna get killed, oh my God. But he didn't know how to wrestle, and I pinned him. My only connection with the wrestling team at Columbia now is that they keep sending me money solicitations. I majored in government at Columbia because of the Camelot. I wanted to be Ted Sorensen. I knew I couldn't be John Kennedy. I had too much performance anxiety. And all my friends went off to Guatemala City or San Jose or one of the other capitals. We hitchhiked our way. We wandered and interviewed Indians in their language. They all migrated to the coastal coffee and cotton plantations. And many of them died along the way. They're packed into these overheated, huge trucks, and they died. They were just tossed out by I really saw firsthand how these people lived. I got a Ford Foundation grant, which sent me to Lima, Peru. I went to Cornell University for the summer before we left and studied Quechua. Learned how to say one phrase, which I still remember, which means, does this road go to Cusco? I actually asked that to a bus driver once on the way to Cusco. I have no idea what his response was. Some of these were horrific mining towns, just total squalor, and that was definitely a radicalizing experience. I remember there's an engineer in my office from Argentina. These are all young radicals from Brazil, Argentina, Peru. And he had in his workspace 2 things which to me epitomized that experience. One was a picture of Jesus, and the other was a picture of Che Guevara. The experiences you have at this early formative stage in your life, usually it's teenage, but in my case I was a late bloomer. In my case, in my sort of mid to late 20s, shaped me. You know, I saw the enemy and they were us, was us, as Pogo says. Radical means to get to the root of something. And the root was these vastly unequal social systems. I'd become a Marxist, a self-taught Marxist. But that's when I put a name on what I was doing and I came to identify as a radical.